Hello there, welcome to the video. Hope you're doing well. I could be doing better, but I'm in good spirits. I did upload this video earlier. Well, not this video, this match. But it had horrible static and we can't have that, so we want good quality. So I recorded it again, and then the whole video had static. But then I finally figured out what I did wrong, and here we are. We're gonna recap the match between MrBeast and MoistCr1tikal's. So I should know the games by now because I've gone over them a bunch of times. But we're gonna do it again. MrBeast with white and Turbo Fisto, MoistCr1tikal's with the black pieces. Also known by his real name, Charlie. MrBeast opens up with d4. Now, Charlie, or MoistCr1tikal's, has played in the PogChamps before. And he has one of the most iconic moments in PogChamps history when he defeated XQC in only 6 moves, using some interesting words to describe how he was feeling at the moment. So he has previous experience and higher rating, so he should be the favorite here with about 1100 rating against a 600 rating of MrBeast. Much more experience, but let's see. d4 and f5. The Dutch defense. e3 now by MrBeast, and here Charlie actually pre-moved his next moves. So all these moves, knight to here, pawn to here, and the bishop from here to where? To here. And castles. These were all played immediately, 0.1 second. Pre-move means you make the move before your opponent makes a move. So when your opponent's move is illegal, your move will be made officially on the board. So now he has stacked the moves, and this came immediately, knight f6, knight c3, this came immediately, and so forward. So on and so forth is what I wanted to say. And now MrBeast jumps in with a knight to g5. Now, we're trying to make this, educational for newer players, and this is breaking a so-called opening principle. In the opening, we want to claim something in the center, put a pawn in the center, and then develop our pieces towards the center, and then try to develop all our pieces and castle. We try not to move the same piece twice, and that's what we're doing here. Knight to f3 and then knight to g5, and this is moving the same piece twice. We try to avoid that. Also because we don't have many pieces developed, only one knight is not going to do damage to black's position. We need more pieces. So this is not to be advised, but let's see what happens. Charlie castled his last pre-move, and now he starts, playing real chess. Bishop c4 check, we can block with d5, we can block with e6, we block with e6, solid move. Now h4. Interesting, and MrBeast said afterwards that he felt intuitively that, he wanted to use the rook and the queen somehow to line up against the king. And this is very good, attacking instincts. It shows that, there might be some talent for chess there. And this, these flank pushes, the h-pawn, Harry, as some people call it, the h-pawn. It's a modern trend, and people are playing it in many positions. So interesting that MrBeast is doing that. With little chess exposure, he's not seeing this in a super tournament. So interesting moment. Anyway, on with the show. h5, he wants to push the pawn and open up the position, and he manages to do that because Charlie took on h5. He should have played h6. If he does that, the knight retreats, g5, we close the position, and despite us moving the pawns in front of our king, which we're taught not to do, the pawns are quite solid and no way for white to break through, and black would be doing great here actually. However, Charlie took on h5, MrBeast took, and black is not taking on h5 here with the pawn. He took on g5 with the queen. Let's go back one move. If you take on h5 with the pawn, the queen comes in. It's too much firepower here, the rook as well. So we can't allow that. So correctly, he takes with the queen here. And now a sneaky move, e4, opening up attack on the queen. But Charlie, he saw it, but he blundered. He should have played f4. Close the diagonal. And the attack on the bishop remains. And then we can take the pawn on d4 as shown here. And black would be much better. Instead, he took on g2, and, look at this, bishop f3. The bishop retreats, and x-rays of the rook. It's already protected, And we'll notice that all of the squares are actually protected. Bishop, rook here, rook here, rook here, and here, king here, and the bishop attacks the queen. So the queen is caught in no man's land. It's gonna be lost. And okay, when you lose the queen, you have to get as much material as you can for it, and that's what Charlie did. Took the rook, took the pawn, and well, MrBeast kept playing logically, got his pieces out, and despite the pressure on d4, just queen d2, trying to get castled, e5 by Charlie, and if he gets to take the pawn and win some material back, he's doing well. White should probably play d5, close it up here, but he played bishop h6. We had a trade, which, well, black should avoid, but he took the pawn on d4. And still a strong move. The knight finds a good square, attacking something. Black kind of has to defend it, which he does. Rook d7. And now long castles. Pieces out and castles. White is doing quite well. He's off the material. He's playing this game quite good. Knight b4. And here he should just take on d4. And who knows, he might have been able to win this game. But he plays an unnecessary move. King b1. Guarding the pawn, but this doesn't matter. This is the pawn that matters. And here his time was, well, MrBeast was running out of time here. You get a 5-second increment, but he's not used to being in this much time trouble. And here the panic set in, and he wanted to break up the pawns with f3, which in and of itself is a good idea, but unfortunately black has this move, protected by the knight. It's check, it's also a fork, big fork. And the king has the move, and we promote, and we make a queen. Game over. Heartbreak actually here for MrBeast. And now he needs to win the second game to tie the match and force the Armageddon. Now, e4, e5, knight c3. The Vienna game. Like we mentioned earlier, Charlie has more experience, so we know more about him and you know what he likes. And he has had some training, and he likes this Vienna game. But he stopped here. He had never seen this move. Interesting move. It's kind of, if you go back, e4, e5, and now the move f4. This is what they used to play in the 18th and 19th century. They'll play f4, King's Gambit, and we'd have some very interesting games. So this is basically the King's Gambit, but with colors reversed. However, because of the colors being reversed, we have an extra move. And that move matters because, you know, we want to develop pieces, so extra pieces developed, they do matter. Now Charlie took the pawn on f5 when we had d5. And this is not good because whenever you move an f-pawn, you have to be careful about this diagonal. And white could have played this queen check here. Queen here, check, and the king has to move, which is quite bad. But white didn't see it. He challenged the center with d4. Black attacked the center. Still we have this queen h5, and still Charlie missed it. d4, and now point of no return. Final chance to play queen h5, and he should have played this. Okay, the knight is attacked. Maybe we can buy some time. No, we can't because of this. We play g7 check, sneaky check, and then we make another queen. And this is, well, obviously loss for black, with two queens for white against only one. So we can't allow this check. But Charlie played knight c2, e2. Not a very good move. And now MrBeast starts to win some material back, takes the pawn. Development by white. And now MrBeast will be doing quite well with a move like bishop c5, maybe queen d7, long castles, and he has active pieces. But he plays knight b4, similar to the first game. Don't move the same piece twice. He has pieces on the back rank, you should try to get them out. In this case, okay, he sees an attack. It's better than knight g5 because there's actually a threat. But unfortunately, the threat can be quite easily met with knight e takes d4. And note, this is the correct knight to take with because you also open up for your bishop and keep protection of the pawn. So good move by white. And because the bishop is attacked, we don't have time to attack the knight and then take on c2. So we have to attend to the bishop, which MrBeast does with queen d7. But here he loses the threat. I don't know if he missed something or thought this was a good move, but he took on c2, and this is just not working. Charlie took. We had the queen trade. Although a nice move here. Queenside castles with jack. We like that. Unfortunately, we can interpose with a bishop. Otherwise, this knight would be lost. So bishop d2. Nice move covering this. And here, MrBeast is down a piece. So he should try to keep pieces on and create confusion. But don't trade. Because that's what the player with more pieces wants to do. He wants to trade down and have an easily winning endgame, because you will use the extra piece to win the remaining pawns and you will queen your pawn. That's usually how high level matches would end. But okay, h5. Again, black should get the pieces out. This does nothing to help black's cause. There's no threat, there's no future threat, just weakened squares. And Charlie goes into that square immediately. Knight g5, rook d7, and now he starts to push the pawn. We have further trades. Good technique by white. He hangs the pawn on f2, but it's not a big deal. Threatens mate here now. But here a strange moment, an oversight by both players. Rook to g3, which can be taken, but Charlie misses it. And not only does he miss it, but he also blocks his mating attempt by blocking with a knight. Black now sees that the rook was hanging and removes it, but white still up a piece, and this pawn is actually huge. White's gonna push it. We're still blocking, but white could have played this, attack the rook, attack the queen square. Instead, double the rooks. And he's missing some stuff here. Could have taken this and then this. But here, MrBeast down 2 seconds on his clock. Adrenaline down to 1 second. Then he got another 5. He managed to get some moves in, but he started to hang stuff here. Charlie got the pawn, got the knight, and then he's gonna queen his pawn or get the rook. So at the end of the day, MrBeast resigned. Good showing though, and he's definitely improved from his first match, and definitely improved a lot since when he played Hikaru many weeks ago. But it seems like MrBeast will go to the consolation bracket, and Charlie MoistCr1tikal's, he's going to the quarterfinals. I think, however, he needs to step up his game if he has to have a chance against the favorites, Sardosh, Rainn Wilson. In that, well, those two, and then probably Daniel Negreanu is the third favorite at the moment. But difficult to say with few games, but we'll see. Thank you for watching. Third time's a charm, hopefully, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.